How big is too big? That's my question for you guys today. Good morning, sunshines. Callie Carroll here. We're going to do the 20-second practice of our book, The Secret. Today's not really a practice so much as an acknowledgement and a reminder for what we've been doing and what we're choosing to move into. And I want to have the conversation and start off with the conversation of how big is too big? When you're telling the universe what you want to have happen for you, when you're choosing the life of your dreams, how big is too big? And I have seen time and time again people who are so stuck in the life that they have because they make this assumption that since they are here, let's say that life goes from a scale of 0 to 100, in terms of uh success. I'm gonna use the word success, but not like in a put on your suit and tie, have success. I mean, of joy, of life, of being, of excitement, of you wake up for that day and you have passion and purpose, and you have loving relationships. This is the 100. You've got loving relationships. You've got abundance of everything, abundance of wealth, abundance of health, abundance of positive relationships, abundance of experiences, and everything's just like, it's just like that ideal life, the person that you look up to and you're like, wow, how did they get that? They can do anything they want, wherever they want, with whomever they want, and they have this beautiful symbiotic relationship and just natural joy that flows through them, and it's just unfair. That's what you're thinking, right? Like, that's just ridiculous that they have all of those different things. There's your 100, and your 0 is, I mean, zeroed out could be let's okay. This we don't want to get too sad about it, but your health is horrible. You feel awful. You have no energy. Things are falling apart. You're always at the doctor. Why is this happening? Why is that happening? You can't pay your bills. You don't like your friends. You don't really like your spouse. You're not having a great relationship with your children. You don't know what you're doing with your life. You don't know what's next for you. You feel lost. You feel depressed. You feel anxious. You feel worried, and you are just at that point where you want to lay face down in a pile of dirt and close your eyes and just bleh. You have this different scenarios of a 0 through 100. And what I found is that frequently people think that maybe they're living they're like at a 10, like they're down there. Maybe they're not face down in the dirt, but they're just doing life. They're just doing life, as much as they can. And they hear this practice and it seems so far fetched. They think about dreaming and their hope is so far lost. They feel like they've been burned. Because a lot of times, remember that if you're down in the 0 to 10 level, it's because you're carrying an energy of blame, criticism, you're holding on to anger. You're continuously choosing to see all of the negative things that are around you, and you're just keeping yourself down in those depths, those valleys that are just making you feel horrible. So they're there and they're like, this is all bullshit, because that's the attitude that comes with being down there. There's no way I'm dreaming any of these things. And if I can entice them enough to start dreaming about just taking some steps up, imagining 100 life, that level is so far fetched from them, then they feel like that's way too big. That's too big. So for me, when I'm doing these practices, this is my person that's at a 10, right? They're like, instead of, being at the doctors all the time, I just simply want, to have a little bit of energy. They don't picture full health, just a little bit of energy. I'd love to make an extra $1,000 this year, get my tax benefit back, my tax refund, so that I can, pay for a couple of my bills. That's where I'm going to start. I'd love to just not hate my spouse. No, I don't need it. It doesn't be better than that. Like, let's just not hate them. I'd like to have one of my friends that's just really annoying me. Just that person, just leave my life. Not going to imagine beautiful friendships, but I just want them gone. So it's like our dreaming, the list of our 10 desires, we set the bar down here. We're at a 10. We set the bar at a 15 because we're way too nervous to imagine the 100. Another scenario that happens, and back up, that could happen the same for somebody that's at a 50. They're like, life's not bad. It's not great. I'm middle of the road. Income's okay. Job's okay. Relationships okay. I like my friends. We travel from time to time. We take some cool trips. The relationship with the kids, that's doing all right. Like we have some fun times. So everything's just, it's not bad. It just, it just kind of is. And sometimes just being is like that's a beautiful place to be, especially, when things have been taken away or you're in the impoverished health piece. And then you get to like that point that just you're riding that road. Those people maybe think, I'm at a 50. I could see myself being at a 70. They don't go to the 100 quite, they're not there. They're just like, I don't really know if I believe that, but maybe I would like a little bit bigger of a house, or maybe my husband and I would have a few more date nights. So they elevate and they have this minor step up in what their top 10 desires are. There's also what I was going to say, the scenario of thinking too big is selfish. We kind of dove into this a little bit when we were talking about money earlier. And that, like, for me to want that means that maybe other people won't get those things, which is silly, by the way. You're like, if you want to have a beautiful relationship and home and travel and finances and all the things, thinking that that's going to take away from someone else, I don't know. That's that scarcity mindset. It's nonsense, first of all. When you elevate yourself to that level and you carry within it the attitude and the joy and the positivity, you have no choice but to positively light up the world, because it's just going to exude from who you are. It's the natural reaction of getting to that level 100 world. And if your experience is different, if you're like, well, no, those people up there, the level 100 people, they're not motivating me. That's not because of them. That's because of you. That's because of how you're choosing to receive their success. I had a friend once who she does amazing in her life. She is so much fun. I'm so thankful to be a part of her tribe. And she continues to create success in her life, in her relationship. And by the way, she hasn't had it easy. She's had very challenging relationships and different things in the past, but she continues to choose and see her life evolving in a way that she's created a beautiful marriage, incredible relationships with her children, unbelievably successful business, beautiful dream home, ideal state of health, and all of these different things. We were having this conversation at one time, and she didn't really want to share what her successes were on social media, because she knew that people that had an impoverished mindset, a scarcity mindset, that they would feel a certain way about her success, which is sad to me. Not for her, well, for her, because she feels like she can't share, but like for those other humans that would feel a certain way about seeing somebody else's success. When you're that lit up, when you're living your level 100 life, when you're at that state, you're shining and pouring out light. The other people get to choose whether or not they receive it. So that being said, some people, when they're choosing how big is too big, they don't want to choose that big because they think that comes with some level of selfishness or show up, which is something you're just making up. And I wanted to have this conversation today to let you know that as you're going through the magic practice and you've decided to start creating and manifesting this ideal, like incredible, beautiful life, as you're going through and you're doing that, if you've chosen to go from a 10 to a 15, you're putting in a lot of effort for a small outcome, which is fine. Maybe you need that right now. Maybe that's what you have to do for your initial win that you're going into.
Mom, the little ones are still fine.
Yeah. It's still fine down there. The one that you broke yesterday?
It still works.
Yeah, I can go fix it. I'll be down in just a minute, okay? I will. I'm going to come down in 1 minute. Okay, I will. Can I finish this conversation real quick? You do these cards, okay? And then let mommy talk real quick. So it's okay to want to bump from a 10 to a 15 right now, if that's all you feel like your heart can handle. But I want to give you the permission, if you feel like you need permission. I want to give you the permission and the encouragement to imagine what your life would be like at 100. at that scale that's just incredible. And I wanted to point this out because Rhonda shares her story, and I'm going to share it on here just in case you haven't been following along, where she starts to see all of these things occur in her life, in her world. And most people would look and they'd be like, why? You can't be wishing for that when you only have this. There's no way you can get there. You can't get to 100 when you're at a 1. How are you going to get from there to there to there? Reminding you, it's not our job to figure out how we're going to get from here to there. But the universe is going to start attracting. You're going to start attracting, and it's going to start providing the opportunities for whatever you're visualizing. So if you're only visualizing a slightly better relationship, those are the opportunities you're going to start bringing in. Where if you're starting to visualize a relationship full of complete, honest communication, love, support, encouragement, then that's what's going to start to be brought to you. If you're looking at your finances and you want them to go from just barely scraping by, and maybe that means, you're making X amount to, now you want to be able to pay off just your $100,000 of debt that you have and still just be at ground zero, that's the opportunities that are going to start to arrive. But if you want the 7-figure income, lifestyle, travel, even more than that, then you have to start thinking at that level, at that heightened level. And when you practice and look at The Full Secret, the book, the original one, The Secret, that is really reiterated. If you haven't gone and done that, I encourage you to. But I want to just give you the example from Rhonda here. So I'm going to just read from this. It's going to be easier. It is.
It's for purple.
Yep. Okay.
You also have it.
Okay, let me finish this real quick and then I'll have it. From the time I began using gratitude and law of attraction to the time I received my final desire on my original list was 4 years. Okay, so she had her list and it took 4 years to accomplish. Keep that in mind. It might not happen tomorrow. To give you an idea of the enormousness of receiving all of my desires in that amount of time, when I created my desire list, my company was $2 million in debt and had 2 months before I would be forced to shut it down, lose my home and everything I owned. The money I owned on my personal credit card was a small fortune. And yet on my desire list, okay, so we're going to go through a desire list. So think about this, $2 million in debt, losing home, losing everything, unbelievable debt outside of that, credit cards maxed out. This is where she was at. On her desire list was to own a big house overlooking the ocean, travel to exotic places in the world, have all of her debts paid off, expand her company, restore every relationship to the best she could, improve the quality of her family's lives, be 100% healthy again, have unlimited energy and excitement for life, along with the usual list of material things. She doesn't go into those. But her number one desire, which seemed like an absolute impossibility to many people around her, was to bring joy to millions of people through her work. The very first desire she received was the very last one, to bring joy to millions of people. And the rest just followed in place one after the other. She just kept crossing them off. Did it. Within 4 years, she went from being $2 million in debt. Beyond that, company about to close down, about to lose her home, maxed out credit cards, broken relationships, to having all of the different things. She went from a 0 to 100. And I want to share that with you because if you're going through and doing this practice with us and you go back to your top 10 desires list and you realize that you were playing it safe in your top 10 desires, I'm going to invite you to go back and imagine what that 100 scale would be like for you. Imagine a world without limitations, with complete abundance. And as you're imagining yourself accomplishing and getting to that state of complete abundance and maximize joy and being and life, seeing the light that pours from you, the positive energy. And I really do like picture like a being with light just shooting out everywhere. And every person who's touched by that light is lit up. Whether they might be in the darkest 0 state, but they see that person's light and they're like, you know what? I can do this too. They went from a 0 to 100. I can do this too. And see how your world could truly change. Now, if you're uncomfortable changing your magic desires list, or you didn't do your desires list, maybe it's time to just go back and review. Make sure that you have something on paper that you can start crossing off. But see if you can take some deep breaths If you need to go watch The Secret, grab that book so you can really put yourself like into that state and start reading the stories of people having these incredible things happen over and over again. You might want to do that to give yourself some more positive encouragement. But then allow yourself, encourage yourself to dream wildly big. Today's practice is actually going through your top 10 desires lists and imagining, that is a coyote. Imagine seeing all of it occur. Imagine that level 100 life unfolding before your life before your eyes, and seeing what happens, seeing how you feel, seeing how you show up. So that's our 22nd day. And this practice is really something that if you can do continuously, it's really going to show up quicker in your life. The practice today is to do it on 2 occasions, go through your magic desires list. But I've seen time and time again, people who have a vision board or a vision book or a list that they carry with them, going back to those things every single day, especially the top one thing on your list. Think about it every single day. Visualize it happening every single day. The closer you are connected with that visualization, with that infatuation of the thing occurring for you, your brain is going to start finding opportunities around you that you never saw before, where all of a sudden they are going to be there. It's there right now. You're not seeing it. Your brain's not trained to see it because you haven't trained your brain yet. That's what we're doing here. We're changing your neural pathways so that you can open up different synapses to find the joy, to imagine, to see those different things happening. And now your RAS, instead of being conditioned to see the snowy day orange that's in this, the sadness that's there, it's finding the opportunities. It's creating the life of your dreams, and not just a bump up of 5, a bump up of 20, but a bump up all of the way up to your greatest imagined life. This one's super fun. You can't tell. I'm super excited about it. I'm going to go and do my own practice right after I get done here. I am excited to be finishing up this magic practice with you over the next 5 days here. And want to remind you that you can go back and start at the beginning or just do this one practice if you want, but we've got everything recorded in order here so you can revisit everything. And don't forget that perspective reveals miracles. I love you guys. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.